Number 29. He's Isaac.
He's Philip.
He's Brent.
Hey, how's it going?
How's it going?
Doing well. Thanks.
Good to have you here.
Yeah, hey, glad to be here. What a cool place.
Appreciate you saying that.
Seriously.
The basement,
Cooler
basement
with you here.
studio.
Appreciate that. Not sure that that's true, but thank you.
The 15 minutes I've known you, it's been cool.
Likewise. Right back at you.
Good deal.
This is a unique experience because a lot of guests that we have on, like sometimes we know them pretty well, or I guess like I know them pretty well. Sometimes you're like,
There's been some, I mean, my uncle
Yes.
was on here.
yes,
so
this is true.
some we know
Correct.
well,
Yeah,
some we
right.
don't know well.
We don't know you very well, but
true.
it's like I know you enough to know that I need you here.
Oh, well, that's very nice. I think
Yes.
that's probably the nicest thing anyone said to me in a long time. So,
Well, not even to mention you're a fellow AV guy,
Right.
which I'm not. Josh, say what up first.
What's going on?
Yeah, he definitely is. Isaac is techie.
Mm.
Without these
I
two,
dabble.
this whole studio wouldn't have happened. But then you're down here and you're like, yeah.
this works. Yeah,
This
no,
works.
I'm super jealous. I always want to learn more about AV. It wasn't something that I went to school for, but I kind of got thrown into it. And it's like, this is awesome. I want to do more of this when I have time to do more of this. So,
Does AV closely align with other things that you are skilled in, value, or?
yeah, so this is the other duties as assigned in the bottom fine print of my contracts. You know, I'm more network and computers and things of that nature, but we just got a brand new amazing auditorium at the high school, and there is insane potential with that. So that's something that I want to capitalize and
Yeah.
make sure I learn more about so I can help the program out.
Because that'd be like your baby. Like if that's gonna,
Not just mine. We've got three good guys. Well, two, Wes Anderson and Dave Heupel. Wes is the band teacher, and Dave is the choir teacher. That kind of lead the charge, but I also work over there with them. So we all got training. So those are the three chosen, I guess, if you
Right
will.
on. The chosen ones. Yes.
That makes sense because
Yeah.
you've got the musical side and then the tech side, which do not always mesh together.
Not so much. Not so much. No. I can't say I'm tone deaf, but I don't sing or play an instrument. I actually, so in eighth grade, I played
Finally.
drums. I did not play percussion. I played drums.
Okay.
Because I wasn't good at it. So I just banged on this thing, right? And the true percussionists, those are the people that are good at it. So yeah, I was not one of those people, but I appreciate them.
Been waiting for you, man. I've just been waiting for you because you're a diehard Minnesota Vikings fan.
It's true.
Hello,
Yep.
I have that in common
Right.
for sure.
Bleed
But then
purple.
literally this is episode 29. The last two episodes have been me being like, I don't do music. I don't get music. I need someone to explain like what the heck music. Why do people get so into it? And then there's you, and it's like fine, you know.
So it's like he got that, and
bridge.
now we're past that.
Yeah, we're past that. Now I can go back to my sports loving, forget music. No, Josh Monty would be mad at me right now because I still have to learn to play the piano.
That's
Oh,
right.
nice. Yes.
Got a big solo coming later in the year.
Right. Anyway, this is
exciting.
neither here nor there, but I just appreciate where this is going right
Right.
now. What's your degree in?
So I actually graduated from Univista with a bachelor in business education.
Right on.
So to even go back further, when I was ninth grade, I knew I always wanted to do IT work in a school. I wanted to be the tech director because I worked with a guy named Brian Blodgett out of North Iowa that did what I wanted to do. He introduced me to it. And so from that point, that was my goal. And back in that time, they didn't really have that degree. So I went to NIAC first. I chose NIAC first, got my associates, transferred to BV, said, hey, I want to be a tech director at a school. And they're like, what's that? And I said, well, that's the guy that does all the IT stuff for a school. Okay, we'll make a degree for you. So we're going to put you in business classes, and we'll get you this, but we'll also allow you to do IT stuff. So we shared that program. So I actually did a student teaching experience at Odewalt Arthur and Sioux Central. And so I did half the time in business education, so with those teachers, and the other half was with the tech director. I did just kind of an internship under him. And that told me that teaching was not for me. Like, reaffirmed it. I'm not the classroom management guy. But the IT stuff, it cemented that. So, but after I graduated, there weren't a lot of positions open for that. And it's kind of a high demand, I don't want to call it high skill, but, you know, there's prerequisites and credentials that you probably should have before you take that position. So I actually went to Prairie Lakes Area Education Agency. And I did 10 years there in computer support. I don't remember what my official title was, but basically all the stuff a tech director does, but at a lower pay and more direct support with staff as well. So it was a really good experience. And then after that 10 years of experience, I took the job here at Greene County.
So this is like your second job post schooling.
College, you got
Yes.
it. Yep.
Right on. Wow.
It was good for me.
It was good for you.
It worked. It was a
That-
good journey. It was
yes.
a good transition, good experience. Met a lot of people, learned a lot of things about education and just what true professional work life looks like, work ethic, all that. So yeah, it's,
9th grade, you knew you wanted
I
to do
did.
this.
I was one of the rare ones. You never ever see that,
No.
right? Like nobody knows that stuff. If you get to learn my personality, super stubborn person. Like when I and I've told you this before, but when I commit to something, I am committed. I'm all in. Right. So that was my thing. I'm not getting off of it. This is what I want to do. And I love it. So I can't complain. Actually, that was when I got right. I don't always get them right.
Sure.
So,
right.
But this is
This
one.
is like the good side of the stubbornness.
right.
is
Yeah,
it
exactly. Yeah,
drives you on to achieve your goals.
Yeah. You guys are talking about counseling. It's like, yeah, I probably should get some counseling on getting away from things that, just like we're committed to this. Now let's get off that and focus on something that's,
Right on.
better.
So were you like crazy into tech from a young age?
Yeah, so let's see. The first experience or first thing I can remember is my parents bought my sister a computer when she was, I don't remember, maybe 5th grade. And I remember watching her play King's Quest. You guys familiar with that game? Awesome. Floppy disk, right? So it's funny. I actually have that game in the original shrink wrap. It's worth like $800 on eBay.
Oh yeah.
It's in my basement.
Okay.
Anyway, but I can't sell it because it's that, I have that connection.
Sentimental, right?
Yep. So that was when I started with my tech experience. And so we watched her play. And then whenever I had the opportunity to play around with it, I just, messed around on a computer just to kind of figure out what it could do. And I was enamored with it from then and got involved with the tech director at, it was actually at the middle school I started playing with computers, but in high school I really got kind of more focused on how do these things work and what do they do and all that. It was awesome.
Right. And you're old enough and young enough to be in kind of that age where it's like everything started transitioning into relying on technology.
Right. Yep.
Yes.
So
which
we,
is,
good.
well, like the golden age of being born into it almost.
Right, the internet, the age of the internet was kind of my childhood. So there was still the internet prior to us, but the dial-up modem and more like residential level stuff. That was when I was growing up, right? So we sat through that dial tone nonsense, and then you had to get off if somebody had to make a phone call. Yeah, that was my experience right away. And then from there we got DSL, which this is high-speed internet, 256 kb a second. Are you kidding me? We'll never go back. And then from there it's just gone from the fiber, crazy speeds.
Where are we going next?
Good question. Satellite. So like Tesla, is doing the Skynet stuff. Yep, we want to make the world internet accessible. I think we're getting closer to that. But places you can't dig fiber to, we'll make it more wireless. Yep. Just better infrastructure. There's the whole. I didn't want to go down this road, but the Terminator scenario where the robots run the world and we're maintaining them. I don't know if we'll ever get there in my lifetime, but a lot more automation, a lot more not virtual reality, but machines doing things that humans should be doing or are doing. Maybe not should be.
What was like the computer program in Terminator that was like? What was the?
I can't remember.
This is a thing that I feel like you would know, Josh, but it's.
I think it was called Skynet, and I think the Tesla is Skylink.
Okay, there you
I
go.
believe so. Let me just double
Okay.
check though.
I
Just confirm.
feel like you are 100% correct here.
Maybe Elon knew that.
Right.
Maybe that's why he chose the name he
I hope
chose.
not.
Starlink. Actually.
Starlink.
Yeah,
Okay.
Starlink
There it is. That's yep.
Yep, but it's very close. It's very similar. So
Yeah, it's scary, crazy stuff.
yeah,
Starlink is Elon.
is
Okay.
Elon Musk. Yes.
Skynet is
Skynet is the
Terminator.
end of the world. Yeah.
Oh my!
So when that one comes out, run.
Right. Those
Turn
mountains.
and run.
Find your cave, hide.
Right.
Oh,
That's
man.
awesome. I'm fascinated with this question. Like, where can we go from here? Because like, this is actually funny that in the same way, music in the 50s and then the 60s and then the 70s, each decade or each period of 10 years had this like crazy evolution
Mhm.
of musicianhood, basically, to where it's like, what are we going to be listening to in 10 years from now? Like, so you growing up 80s and 90s, do you fall back and listen to that music
Oh,
from your
sure.
childhood?
Yep,
Right.
absolutely.
More than you do like pop music of today.
Yeah, so I'm a big covers guy. I don't know why, but that's kind of my thing right now. And I like audiobooks and podcasts. But yeah, when I'm doing music, I like classics and I like covers. I like different interpretations of different songs. Just because it's, it's like, I really like this song, but let's get his perspective on what this song sounds like.
Mm.
So I find myself wandering down that rabbit hole often.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Right there.
Like that too.
Which technology? It's like, where can we go from here?
Right.
How do we level up from having,
Yeah, that's a good word
like
for it.
I have a supercomputer that was not even possible 10 years ago in the palm of my hand now.
Right.
Where is it true? Like NASA and when we went to the moon in 1969, that all of their computers is like basically the computing power of that's
Yep,
like
yeah,
legit.
and that was a full room or building worth of a computer. It's massive. Yeah, the processing power in a microchip,
Okay.
compared to what it was before, is insane. They've really crunched down the size that it takes to perform processes, I guess, if you will. So come a long ways. It's
Yeah.
remarkable, and that's what makes me a little worried. Not worried, but like if we can do this in 70 years, what do the next 70 years look like?
Right. Is there some crazy tech out there that we don't even know about that like exists? And
I mean, there's a
running?
lot of facial recognition stuff that's scary. Not scary, but like, this person knows who I am, where I am, and it's stored in a database, so they'll always have that information, right? So you can't go anywhere potentially without somebody actually being able to track you. And then, just everything we do is on a cell phone, right? So having access to all those records as well, the whole idea of anonymous conversations.
Thing of the past.
Who knows? I would assume so.
Right.
I have no factual evidence that tells me that Big Brother is watching or whatever, but it's very possible, I think.
Did you ever go deep on the leaks from Snowden?
Snowden, yeah.
No, I did not.
Okay,
Nope.
okay. I was just curious.
Have you
what
seen
your
that
take was.
movie? Have you guys seen the Snowden movie?
I
I
have.
have not yet.
I don't know if it's called that, but it was good. I watched it like 3 times, and it like validates everything you're saying.
Really?
If it's,
Honestly, this is weird. I honestly don't even know what it is.
If it's true to life
I feel like I'm
account.
out of the loop on this.
what is it? Edward Snowden?
I think it's called Snowden, I believe. But
So-
let me
You're-
double check.
He was
You're-
the
you're right.
whistleblower from the CIA. I think he was CIA.
Okay.
Anyway, he was stationed
NSA.
in this
NSA.
NSA. Yeah,
Mm.
and so like they had this whatever the program was called where they could like type in search words and it would pull up like live camera access to
Mhm.
people, like all their browser history, what they searched, what they said. You
Mhm.
could listen on people, like they could activate technology and like listen to them in real time. And they're doing it under the premise of we're trying to catch and stop terrorists. Yeah, he's got it right there. It was a really well made movie. I thought it was very interesting.
Put
But
that on my to watch list.
Everything you're saying, it's like they go into that, and he is the guy that exposed it.
That was 6 years ago. So you say, where are we at in the future? I mean, we might be past where I just said we were at, right? We're probably moving on into not bigger, better things, but different
Right.
things. So
Right.
yeah, it's always changing. It's so terrifying
Well, and then there's like
and
the
amazing. I guess.
international, talking on the security element of it. It's like the international uses of that, country versus
Mhm.
country. I mean, you hear about. I mean, obviously Russia's in the news a lot now, and I don't know what their technical capabilities are like. Maybe they're great, maybe they're not. But like China, you hear about them too. I imagine they have some pretty in-depth technical abilities and cyber warfare, cyber
That's the
terrorism.
thing. Whenever you hear about businesses or cybersecurity stuff, Russia is a big name in that. You've got a lot of people that are hacking from there, I guess, if you will. China as well, and some other third-party countries. But yeah, Russia's a big one for that kind
So
of stuff.
what is cybersecurity something you work in?
1,000,000%. So I'm always trying to stay up with that because there is such a concern with being compromised, ransomware, things of that nature that will take your whole network down or will ruin the life of a tech director. And then if and when it happens, how do we get back to normal, right? So you basically have to work with the cybersecurity team, and now they have what's called cybersecurity insurance. So you can literally buy insurance in the event your network or your environment were to be compromised, so that the millions of dollars potentially that you're spending to get everything recovered and the lawsuits and things like that will be covered by this insurance policy. But yeah, though there's a whole, people are making tons and tons of money on cybersecurity protection. And so a guy like me that, hey, put this out on the, let's put it on the internet, but, that works to don't target me, please. That works to keep our school's network safe. That's like the worst nightmare. That's the one thing that I always that will keep me up, at nights. Just worrying about what if I wake up tomorrow and all of a sudden everything's down and it's all encrypted and we've got to work through how do we get this recovered.
So that's like worst case scenario.
Yes,
is
that
someone
yep.
kidnaps your network.
So a friend of mine in another school district, this was this past summer, actually had that happen to his network, and getting the firsthand account from him on what that process looked like to get everything back. I mean, it was like 3 months before they were back to where he felt like we're comfortable. They had to wipe all their machines, all their switches, basically redo everything. Just imagine starting over from a full network and server infrastructure standpoint. Yeah, and nobody wants that.
Wow.
2020 was a record-breaking year.
Thanks a lot for that, Josh.
Dagger. Well, you made it. You made it through
so
that
far,
at least.
thus far.
Yeah.
Right. So did you follow the Sony hack?
I've seen a bunch of different like Target got hacked.
Well, there was a Sony one from what was it 2014 where after that movie was launched with North Korea.
Okay.
There was a bunch of stuff that was leaked and they were upset that there was going to be a movie about Kim Jong Un.
This is ringing bells.
You know what I'm saying?
That, yeah.
Were you still? You were in the industry at that time?
2014, I was, but I was
Okay.
not director of technology, so I was
Okay.
kind of doing more computer first and second level support. So,
Gotcha.
So yeah,
Gotcha.
not as, and so that's the thing too. Like the more we get involved in the technology world, the more we know about it, and so. That's at that point I was like, I'm good. I'm just doing my computer repair stuff. And now it's like, I've got a lot bigger things to worry about and think about. So you get more invested in the stuff, and then you start really figuring out what this kind of job entails. It's that the more older we get, the more we realize we don't know as much as we think we do.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's the whole concept of, this is a whole thing, cybersecurity, and oh my gosh, there's so much that I need to keep track of, to try to make sure that, we're on top of what we need to be on top of, that it's almost impossible.
Do you have any opinions about cryptocurrencies?
So I think, yes, I think eventually one of the however many thousand that there are available will, whether it's Bitcoin or the meme one or who knows.
Right.
I think it'll be Bitcoin, to be honest with you. That will be an accepted currency globally. Whether or not they can regulate it and, like the United States dollar, that's a whole nother baby. I don't think we're there yet, but yes, that's definitely, I believe, maybe 10 years from now.
Do you think at some point everyone's going to have cryptography insurance?
Maybe. Yeah, that's a whole nother thing too. There's a big scamming market on that. Like I've heard of nightmare scenarios where people have lost millions of dollars just due to transactions and don't get me down that rabbit hole, but yeah, that's like, I can't imagine my parents ever, trying to understand that, and no disrespect to them. It's just, that's something that they aren't even concerned with. We've got our dollar bills and that's what I want to spend with. Why do I need to learn about this thing on my phone that I can pay my bills with? So yeah, I think yes, eventually cryptocurrency will be a thing. It's a few years out, but there will be one specific coin, if you will, that will rule them all.
Man, I'm so glad you said it that way. I was thinking that too.
Right, yeah.
One coin to rule them all. Love that. Lord of the Rings.
Sorry, we're going very techie here.
Where's that poster at?
This is okay.
It's definitely okay. This is like a Rogan-esque conversation right here. Like on the Joe Rogan, he would bring someone in to talk about something that happened and then be like, where is it going next?
Sure.
And this is exactly what you're laying down for us right here. So I love it. I love it. And what are you doing if you're not trying to plan or prep for what the future has? Like if you're living in the past, it's going to create some issues for sure. And if there's a big push to be present right now. The part of being present is making sure that you can also be present and be well in the future. I
like it.
So vision for the future is part of the present. And learning from the past so you can be better there is part of the present.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense. That's
true.
Good.
This is awesome.
It's wise. That's good.
Hey, it's good. That's why we're here. Well, on this topic too, because like you're gonna know because I've heard this from you, but like and I hesitate to get all my theories from movies because, but I do that a lot. So like Captain America 2, have you seen
Is that
the
Civil
Winter
War?
Soldier? Yes.
Winter Soldier.
No, that's the third one.
Okay.
Winter Soldier.
Okay, yes, I have. Yep.
So then in that movie, the whole premise is like this network of evil people have created a predictive algorithm to assess behavior to see if you will be a threat to what their agenda is. And then they have these big helicarriers that will like kill 1 million people at a time. You know, it's like this, you know, of course, a dystopian universe with Captain America at the helm. But it's wild because we've talked about how like airport security in the facial recognition, but then they're going beyond that into like
Predictive programming. I mean, well, it's not really predictive programming, but it's predictive pre-crimes.
yes.
So
Minority
essentially-
Report.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Yes.
Oh my
indeed.
goodness. Okay.
So I mean, I wonder if that's in the near future.
You know,
or,
so AI, artificial intelligence, right? Just crunching algorithms and high probability situations. I don't even begin to think I know anything about that. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, if they make a movie on it, that probably means somebody has a theory that this could happen.
Well, also too, we got a lot
Don't
of
quote
5G.
me on that.
or somebody's getting their ideas from movies.
Right. There you go. There you go.
Right. Or they're trying to normalize the ideas that they already have.
There you go.
And they're
Could be.
putting them in the movies to soften everybody. But
I like the way Josh said that. That's good.
Oh, boy.
so essentially, with regards to 5G towers, have you studied that at all?
So what part? Like the conspiracy
Just
theory
the
behind
network. No, just the network system behind it. I mean, as far as putting that many towers and information
Close
going that
proximity?
quickly. Yeah.
Yep.
You know, what do you think the potential? Because I've heard there was a gentleman by the name of General. It'll come back to me. He's a 4-star general. He wrote a book. It's gonna come to me.
Yep.
Anyways, he wrote this book, and he basically said that the phone, if you want to be in the network, is the network, and if you don't want to be a part of the network, you can just leave the phone or get a dumb phone versus a smartphone. But when the 5G towers are all in place and you have all the cameras and all the AI connected to it, you are essentially inside that network. You can't opt out of that network at that point. Which is essentially how China's system is set up. Do you have any opinions about that, or have you looked into kind of how that's developing?
So that's an infrastructure thing. No, I guess I
Okay,
haven't, but
different. Okay.
I mean it makes sense. I mean the speeds you can send and receive, the trunking, I guess, with that infrastructure is asinine. It's insane.
Right.
So the more infrastructure we have to deliver access to services like that, the higher probability of whatever we want to do, we can do.
What do you think the number one service is going to be with that type of speed?
Now, expand on that question. What do you mean?
So so when you have streaming was only possible because of the ability to bring that information through those cables and fiber and stuff like that. But I mean, at those type of speeds, streaming movies, it's going to be instantaneous almost.
For sure. Yep.
So what would be the service of that would be needed in order for that? You know what I'm saying?
Yep, absolutely. So self-automated cars.
Okay.
As long as we have a reliable network that can tell our cars where they need to go, so self-driving, I guess, if you will, that would, because you need 100% success rate. You can't have that 95% of the time this car is going to get you where you want to go. Right? And then
a lot of people will die.
We dropped off the network, whoops, the car lost connectivity, whatever. And that's just an example. But yeah, it's just the more reliable speeds we have, the higher the what am I trying to say here? I'm blanking on this. The more access to a reliable network that goes really, really fast, the more we can do, the more we can access. So if we need to send this car from here to there, if we need to stream a video, if we need to access database software, if we need to back up software, and it's just like that, we can do it more regularly and have access to it as fast as we need to. It's the microwave mentality, right? I want it, and I want it right now.
Sure. Well, I love that microwave mentality. Love it.
That's where we're at, right?
To bring up Mr. Musk and Mr. Rogan once again in this conversation, have you heard their podcast where Elon's talking about cyborgs and how people are basically cyborgs now? We're just slow at it. He said the only thing detaching us from like what you would think of a cyborg in a movie is like how quick the information can get from the internet to our brain, which has to go through however fast our phone can get it,
Right.
and then how fast we can read it, process it, and then act upon it. And so, like, as we talk about where does it go from here? And I mean, this is what you said is like speed
Mhm.
is probably the primary factor. It's going to get faster and faster
Yep.
and go more from like a disconnected, like there's this number of hoops that the information or the coding or the process of instructions has to go through to where it happens like instantaneously.
Right.
And as that happens, probably we're, you guys mentioned the Terminator world, and I don't know if this is just because I'm 4 years younger than you and more than that younger than you, like 11 years younger than you. But I thought of the movie Wall-E,
Okay. Yeah.
and kind of a different
Full
spin
robotics.
on the automated universe or like the machines taking over. And with that one, it is like, it's not like there's the revolution of, well, I guess there is kind of that in that movie, like the machines are taking over, but it's like not like they're showing up and killing everybody. They're just making everybody into like these 500-pound
Right. We
couch potato chair people that
Auto-
just
automated-
receive everything.
forget how to be humans
Yes.
at that point.
Yeah, like
Yep.
you're made unable to
Right.
do like. And I thought about this too when we were talking about the computers and like how you look at your phone right now, and it's like there's more in this than what sent people to the moon however many years ago. And I saw a picture not that long ago of like an analog computer, and it's just like all these dials
Right.
and like little tiny meters that are, I have no idea what it is. And I'm thinking to myself, there were so few people that would even be able to run that in that day. Like you had to have so much training and understanding. And today it's like you can give a 2-year-old a phone and they're going to figure out how to pull up their favorite movie on it. So it's like the skill to do these things is I think becoming further and further removed, where the pool of, I don't know, maybe the pool of intelligence is like the same as it always has been. Maybe there's just a few people that really know how to use the information, and they're just giving it to all the consumers to do kind of the front surface, buy your product, get your service, pay us the money stuff. But I mean, what's the danger? Do you think there is a danger in progressing?
Hey, absolutely. So
And how do you combat or like guard against that?
I'm a big balance guy, right? So I love technology, but I think we have some serious addiction issues. I find that myself as well, because it's like second nature to me. Just to pop my phone up, I got a Twitter note, bing, the Vikings traded, whatever, and then back down in my pocket. But then I find myself going right back to it too. So the thing I see often at the high school and sometimes in the middle school is kids are walking up and down the halls on their cell phones, right, and texting and doing whatever, and we're walking right next to our friends, and we're losing that social connection that we have with people, right? We're more worried about what's going on in the Twitterverse or on the internet than we are what's going on right in the present in front of us. So finding a way to, yes, be connected, but then also remember that, oh yeah, I've got friends and people that I probably should value and give my attention to as well, and put that phone down and get away from it. So I think it's just like an extension of us at this point. And we're very reliant on that, whether it's like I've seen people just constantly refresh Twitter. And it's like, okay, there's nothing new. Put it down and wait 20 minutes or an hour or whatever, and then go back to it and then find that content. But we want that, again, microwave mentality. I want it right now, right?
Mhm.
Bing, it's here. Cool. Okay, I saw this. Great. Now I want the next thing, right? And it's the age of information. We want it. We want it right away. And I think we've got to learn to put a device down and walk away from it. And remember our surroundings and what's happening in the now in front of us. And that's tricky because it's a whole movement right now, and I don't know how we fix it.
So many places we could go right here. The thing I asked a teacher, what do kids need the most to be successful? And her answer essentially was executive functioning skills, which you could probably pull up a list of those and like read them off, because I mean it's really 7 or 8 things.
Okay.
And then the next question was, how do you get a kid that?
Right.
So the question for you, I suppose, is as you walk the halls and you see some of these things, like what do kids need the most today? Because like Twitter is probably not the answer.
No, absolutely not. Support. They need to know that they've. It's so hard because everybody's different, right? This is a relative question. What does this kid need versus this kid? I tried to provide them with opportunities and support, right? If you want to do this, and I have an and I feel like what you want to do is best for you, I'm going to try to find a way to get you to do this, to get you exposed to this, so that we can determine whether or not it is something that's good for you, whether that's a relationship or whether that's a opportunity at school, an extracurricular, whatever. I want them to have the opportunity to discover who they are and what it is that they think is best for them. And that's how we learn, right? Okay, I worked construction for 3 summers when I was in college. That taught me I didn't want to do construction, right? But that was a good life lesson, and it taught me hardworking skills, and it gave me all kinds of experience with lots of stuff that I normally never would have, right? So I want to support them and make sure that they have the opportunities that they should have, so that they get exposure to the things in life that would help them find their own person, if you will.
So that's our list here. Like, what I like about that is like this construction opportunity that you took advantage of. You probably were able to gain adaptable thinking,
These are good.
planning, self-monitoring, self-control, working memory, time management, organization. Like,
yeah, those are all very, very, very important skills.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that's the thing. They need exposure to things, opportunities, whatever you want to call them, that give them access to all of this. Because we, at that age, if they don't have somebody that puts that in front of them, they're not probably going to find it themselves.
so if you think about a newborn to 18 years old today, like this year they'll be 18 years old, will they have had enough opportunities and exposure to that just without having someone or themselves putting it in front of them for them, if you know what I mean, right? Like, are there enough things that you will just stumble upon to teach you those things, or if you don't seek them out, you're going to miss it?
I would say no. Maybe 5%. Yes. But I think without somebody guiding them along that's been through it and maybe knows the what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, and how we can get involved in and access to things like that, no, they're not going to find it themselves. Because, kids are kids. We were kids. And we all have our own, we all had our own perceptions on what's best for us, whether that for me would be sitting in my room and video gaming, until 2:30 in the morning. And, probably being toxic in the community, which isn't, but again, that's something that there's teachable moments with everything. And there's ways that we can handle things, and there's ways that we can show students how some things are appropriate and some things aren't appropriate. And then we let them decide if they want to, follow through with those ideas.
Did you personally have like a wake up moment, or thinking back to your teenage years or your 9th grade, and you knew what you wanted to do career wise?
Sure.
That to me means something aroused in you
So,
early.
So career-wise, I think, so I was a part of tech club in 9th grade. That's when I joined tech club. And that was when I realized that I really enjoy this. Like, I could do this for a long time. And what's really the thing that kind of set it above everything else was I would go into a teacher's room and I'd fix something for them. And they'd be like, "That's amazing, Brent. Thank you." Like that praise that like I did something they couldn't do. And they were the teacher. I'm the student. They're the teacher. And I did something that was something they had no idea, on they would never get it fixed if it wasn't for me. So that's the aha. Oh, cool. Not only is there like a intrinsic motivation, I'm doing better things for myself, but now I'm getting my teacher that's praising me. So cool. What an awesome moment. And this is a person that I look up to. And now he or she is kind of looking up to me for the thing that I just did. Yeah. Ta-da. Yeah. So that was a big one for me.
And that was 9th grade, high school. That was that middle school, even.
Yeah,
Type of age.
Middle school, I was just more like playing around with stuff, and high school was more like actually focusing that energy on things that should have been.
Sure.
That's wild.
Right. So again, opportunities, support. Right. That was a big one for me.
I feel like a trend in when we go solo on our podcast, we end up in a opportunity conversation.
Do we?
Like, I think so. I've heard you say it more than once. I'm all about it, because what I'm not about is, I hesitate to say this because it almost makes you look like a bad guy, but it's like equal outcome does almost no one any good, but equal opportunity, when you get a choice to apply, that's when like things can take off for a person. But when you guarantee the same outcome for everybody, it's kind of like, I can't remember the analogy. oh gosh, I mean, it's socialism in a way, you know, where I'm going to take from the rich and I'm going to give to the poor, but then it de-incentivizes the rich from ever trying to make more money because
Sure.
it's just going to be taken from me.
Right.
And then it de-incentivizes the poor from ever trying because they're just handed money. And if someone's listening to this and they're like, nope, that's not how it's going to work, then great, get on here and we'll talk about it, you know, but equal outcome doesn't push someone in a way that equal opportunity does, because then even if one opportunity doesn't work out for you, then just go get another one. Just
Right.
go to the next one and find your niche like you did, or like I did with chiropractic, or like
Absolutely.
you eventually did with evangelicalism and preaching the word, and the Bible, and that sort of thing, you know. And all three of those things are service-based.
Yep.
Which is promoting the community. And so it's eventually we found a niche that's, like you said earlier, constructive for the community and not destructive because you're doing something till 2:30 a.m. that you shouldn't be doing.
Right.
you
Right.
know?
Exactly.
So
Switching
Good
from
tying.
consuming to producing is another way to look at that. I mean,
we've had that conversation.
because like with you, I mean, you can use tech to just consume,
Absolutely.
or you can use it in a productive way
Yep.
to provide a service and help others too. So I think that maxim holds true there.
Yes. Which I've been trying to figure out if there's a way that I'm showing my hand here. I haven't approved this to anyone. If there's a way that a local community group could partner with the school to provide an opportunity to gain executive functioning skills in a way that would monetize winners,
I love it.
which, yeah,
Students need incentive in some cases.
and right on, absolutely, for sure. And I think I can provide incentive, but it's just, here's a question. Is this teacher that I was talking to that I proposed this question to said, well, then we eventually got to, will the high support, like you said earlier, what do kids need? Support. Will the high support, high achieving kids just be the ones that win the incentives? Or is there any way to aid or boost for that term?
Fun.
Because boost was
It's good.
a low support kid, because they're out there
Mhm.
who don't have the parenthood or the mentorship
Mhm.
to achieve, or low achieving or low support. Is there a way to help them gain the functioning skills that will make them successful, help them be successful, help them take advantage of opportunities as they come down the road? How do you, because again, you don't want to dictate equal outcome, but you want to be able to feed people with low support.
Right.
Well, I think that's also assuming that the biggest, best incentive is money. I think there's so, like, for example, for you, it was the praise. It was like the fact that it's like, hey, thank you so much. That you got that dopamine rush.
Right.
That was like, wow, that was amazing. And were you getting paid?
No.
Okay,
No.
so
No,
it
this
was
is a club. It's volunteer.
right. Okay,
Yep.
so totally volunteer.
Yep.
But still, that got you in a mindset where you're like, whoa, I want more of that.
Mhm.
And you ended up getting into a career that you did get paid, and you are getting paid. So I feel like how much of what we do is not just the money, but also that, hey, thank you, Dr. Phillip. Thank you, Pastor Isaac. Thank you, Brent. Like that kind of stuff versus the money. And how do you take that and put it into kids?
That is, go ahead. Yeah, I like it.
I have a couple thoughts on that. Number one, it makes me think about like competing for a trophy when not everybody's getting a trophy. It's like there's an incentive there, and it's to win because the winner gets recognition that everyone else doesn't get. I also thought about a stat I heard not that long. I think this was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. It was before COVID, but it's talking about millennial workers, and business owners were complaining because they said our workers are leaving because we're not validating them enough. We're not praising them enough. We're paying them, but we're not really like taking incentive to make sure they enjoy working where they work, or that they, feel a connection to like the business and what the business is about and what it's doing. It makes me think about this, how there really are other forms of that, like gratification for what you do besides just the paycheck. And I mean, I don't want to come off sounding like the entitled Gen Z kid, but it's like, yeah, that stuff matters too. I mean, you can just grind out all day and do it for money, but that gets old eventually. And once you get enough, you're going to quit and go do something you want to do. I mean, it's like, I think there are people who make millions in their working career and then they stop working because they grinded it ground it out.
There we go.
They did what they had to do, and maybe they didn't enjoy it that much, but like it was a means to an end, and now they're done doing that. But then there's others who like they never stop; they work to the grave because they love what they do, and it's not just about money at that point. It's like they are living out a purpose that goes beyond just finances, and so. But I don't think we shouldn't be so like opposed to grinding it out when that's what has to happen either.
Right.
Like I do think there's a danger to saying like, yeah, you should pursue something that you're passionate about, and then just say, well, until that comes along, I'm not going to do anything. That's foolish. You should work while you've got opportunity to work and pursue something that is purposeful. Anyway, that was a lot.
That was good.
Very good.
I was just going to say balance. I mean, and so I guess I think balance is a big one. You know, with working and quality of life. You know, living our life. Got to find that happy medium. I think it's tough to figure out what motivates. You know, a big group of our high school students, just the entire student body, right? Because I think some are more intrinsically, I want to get good grades, I want to go to college, I want to do this for me because I know that this is going to, you know, be my life. And others are more like, school's okay, whatever, I'll get a job after high school, and I'll just, you know, I'll get paid enough, you know, my parents take care of me, whatever. So, and I don't know if it's shifted. I always wonder, you know, like when I was in high school, did my frame of thinking change compared to, or I guess was my frame of thinking different than today's high school student? And if so, why was that? Why is that? Is that a technology thing? Is that just an era thing? What? Because I knew what motivated me and a lot of my classmates too. But definitely see different trends with, you know, what students are driven by, I guess, if you will. So I'd love to see a case study on, you know, is it money? Is it praise? Is it an extrinsic? Is it intrinsic? What is getting our youth excited about doing something? And then how do we, you know, drive those points down to them so that they follow through with those ideas?
Yeah.
I would make an argument for it is about belonging. I think there's a strong case to be made for group identification and belonging to, you know, something larger than themselves, where they feel like they're an owner of it to a point, you know, taking ownership in what they're doing. I think that's a big piece of it.
Hierarchy of Needs
Right.
by Laszlo.
Yeah, right.
Maslow.
Maslow. There it is. Yeah.
There it is. Landed the plane. Belonging was at the peak of that.
Right,
If I
that's
believe.
good.
Yeah.
Right.
I think you've hit the nail on the head there.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's what kids are looking for today is like, where do I belong? I think like with the internet, maybe this is a result of tech to a point, like because there's, there it is. Self-actualization. Actualization. With the internet, it's like, if you're not building in healthy patterns where you're engaging with people on a personal, relational level, like if you're just walking down the hallway and you're disconnected, then it's probably going to feel like you're less a part of the things that you're actually a part of. Like, I go to high school, but I don't like anybody there. You know, I've got my 5 people from Xbox Live that I talk to in the evenings or whatever. And it's like, well, you feel a disconnect then. You feel like you don't really belong. And I do think that self-isolation can lead to that. And then it just creates that need in a greater way. So
That's sweet. That's deep. That's good.
Belonging, is it something that you are given, or is it something that you discover for yourself? Because
there's probably a balance of both to it, because you can't belong in a place where you're rejected. So in that way, it has to be offered to you. There has to be receptivity to you. But in the same way, like if you don't go looking for it, you're probably never going to find it.
That's a good point.
I mean, relationships are two-sided, and that's part of what belonging's about, is relational development between you and a group of people, or on an individual level through the group. It's like if it's a one-sided relationship, it doesn't survive.
right,
That's good.
It's both.
constant. It's you both find it and it's given to you, and then it's a continued give and take.
Yeah.
Something that becomes constructive and not destructive.
Yeah.
It's not where I thought we were going to go.
This is, I'm going to say,
Pretty cool.
this is deep. This is good stuff. I'm learning
deep.
things, like lots of things. This is awesome.
Right on. It's great.
I think a healthy group is going to make that easier too.
Right.
Because a healthy group is like their culture is that of inviting, belonging. I think you see this even in like the corporate world. Like I hear about things like Apple does and Microsoft does and Google. Like I think they were rated for many years like one of the top companies to work for, and I think it is that culture of, you know, we're all part of this team here and we're all part of what's going on, and it's like if you are part of that, you know you're a part of that. And there's like no question about, you know, am I valued and, well, do I belong?
Mhm.
But I don't think the people that go to work there are the ones that see themselves as like detached from the company. Like you wouldn't fit in well with that culture. So for a generation looking to belong, I mean, I think there are opportunities out there to do that. But
Well, going on that vein, you know, you being in the Brent being in the school system, maybe not speaking specifically about the school you work with, but
Okay.
maybe the school system as in general. Do you feel like there is an adequate, or do you feel like the school system is adequately giving that space for belonging for students across the board? Do you feel like that's something that the school system is achieving, or do you feel like there's some room to grow, or is there areas specific that they're achieving, but maybe there's areas that they're, you know?
So, firsthand experience, we are always working to improve, right? So I work with a lot of amazing people, no kidding. Whether they're counselors, whether they're teachers, administrators, always looking for ways that we can get kids in the school. We can make sure the kids feel that this is a safe place and they have access to opportunities that they wouldn't normally have access to. So let me give you an example. One that I'm proud of, and everybody has their own perception on this, but let me go through it. Esports. We just introduced esports this fall, and what esports is, it's competitive video gaming, right?
Nice.
And it's very new, but it's actually not new. It's been around for a long time, but it's new to the academic world, right? And so for me, the big motive on this was you get the non-traditional students that maybe wouldn't play football. And we still get the traditional students too. Don't get me wrong. We get athletes that are good at physical sports as well as electronic. But those kids that wouldn't probably otherwise go out now have an opportunity to succeed in a competitive environment, be recognized by their peers, and then also by the school. And then also can earn scholarships. No kidding. Belmont Clemmy had 2 students just a couple weeks ago. They got $15,000 per year for esports from, I believe, Waldorf College. That's $60,000 that they get just for playing video games, right? But not only that, but then they also are, you know, they're learning skills. They're learning communication. They're learning collaboration. They're learning tactical. And then we're also tackling the toxic environment that is the online community. How do we deal with that, right? This isn't appropriate. What do we do, you know, to avoid that kind of stuff? So we have opportunities to guide these students to handle certain situations in the right way, coach them, if you will. So that was a big one that we introduced just because we wanted to have a successful it was a successful program, but then another way that students could be involved with extracurriculars, because you've got some students that have not great home lives, you know, and we want to make sure that they have the opportunity to be in school, be in a safe place, and be getting the support and opportunities, praise, whatever you want to call it, that they need.
The recognition, and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. And so we do a great job. We've got a group called Ram Fanatic, and then also Ram News that covers these achievements and blasts them out to the community. I am a huge, let's make sure that the community knows what it is we're doing at Greene County Schools kind of guy, right? I want to make sure that they understand that you're paying money for, you know, through your tax dollars to let these kids go to school and for our infrastructure and whatnot. Here's what you're paying for. It's amazing, right? So again, Ram Fanatic, Ram News do a really good job of covering, getting that information out. And I think the kids get a little bit of oh yeah, I did that. You know, they see themselves on social media because we're all on social media, getting those likes and all that stuff, which is a big thing. And they do, and then, so again, Ram Fanatic is another thing. Now we've got social media, we've got digital content creation, we've got potentially, so we're incorporated with Jefferson Telephone. We're actually doing some TV news stuff, or we're getting our stuff on TV. So now they are building credentials, basically prerequisites, stuff they can show their colleges and their potential employer, hey, I did this. So again, more opportunities. So I think
awesome.
we're doing a good job of trying to get kids any kind of support that they can in the school. And then again, counselors, really good team in the high school, really good team in the middle school. Kids can go to them, talk to them. Teachers, I see a lot of teachers take kids under their wings, and this is all stuff behind the scenes. Educators are grossly underpaid for the things that they're doing. I'm just going to put that out there. I'm not ashamed to say it. It's the truth, right? These are awesome people. This is a calling, right? So for what it is that a school is supposed to be, I'm very proud of what Greene County does for our students.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I'll get off my soapbox now.
Well, just a couple
That's a good
quick
box.
statistics really quick, just so everyone at home is listening. $0.94 billion was produced in esports in 2020, and it's expected to go to $4.75 billion by 2030. And they saw an increase of 17.5, or they're going to see an increase of 17.5% from 2021 to 2030, which I'm not exactly sure how that works into that calculation, because that looks like a lot more than 17.5%. But it's a big thing. That's really cool. That's. Do you feel like Greene County, and I apologize to keep asking questions, but this is something really fascinating to me, but do you feel like Greene County gives that space for the teachers to be a teacher?
Yeah.
Because I hear that some school systems are very restrictive. You got to do this, you got to do that, you got to teach it this way, or
we've got a good administrative staff.
Okay.
I believe that is supportive. Again, we're always growing. We are a reflective school. So just from sitting in the administrative meetings. So how is it we can get better, right? And I think they do a really good job of taking feedback, especially from me, because I'm pretty vocal about some stuff sometimes, listening to it and then shifting, right? So yeah, I think you can get pigeonholed, or we've got to follow this structure from the Department of Education because this is what they tell us to do. But I think our teachers do a good job of being flexible with content. Right. Diversification was a huge thing for me when I was graduating from University. One student might want to read a book, but the other student might want to do hands-on activity. And our teachers are very much aware of that. And technology also provides a great tool that the teachers can use. But for me, one thing I try to stress is just because we have the technology does not mean we have to use it every day. Right. I want to make sure that the kids are learning the best way they can. That doesn't mean they have to be on the Chromebook the whole time, or we have to use our Clever Touch the whole time. Let's find a way to get them so they understand this. This can be a tool, but then we can also use this alternative as well. And our teachers, just from what I've seen when I go in the classroom and then feedback from my wife who's a teacher, do a good job of shifting on that. And everybody can grow, myself included. But again, very proud of our community school district. So
that's awesome.
Mad props.
Hearing that sounds and feels like a very balanced perspective from a head of technology director. I mean, for someone that I would say you probably represent the future in a sense, in one way at the Greene County schools, because like you're bringing in, or part of bringing in, that future tech and, leveling up, like you said earlier,
right? Yeah,
our capabilities. And so to say, like, we don't have to do this all the time, I mean, that sounds like a really self-conscious approach.
Oh yeah,
I
no,
think is
balance,
healthy.
100%. That's something I discovered a long time ago. Was like, we can't just do this one way, and that's we've got to find a way to find all different perspectives and again find balance in what it is we're doing, so that we don't get burnt out with one thing, get stale that way.
Can just come direct technology in all of our lives and help us all do that, right?
Yeah, I don't know about that, but
Yeah, like a procedural manual we could publish.
Right.
It's just kidding.
Yeah, no, love our school. Very proud of where, not to say where we've come, but where we are, because we were doing great things before I was here too. But with the new high school, with all the work they've done in the middle school and the elementary, and then all the new tech we got, thanks to, which is terrible. But the silver lining from COVID was we got lots of money to spend on technology through what are called ESSER funds. So we were able to put a bunch of new things in there that helped amplify teaching. And so very grateful for that, and awesome and excited that my kids get the opportunity to go through a really, really good infrastructure and school district.
So you're not from here.
So I'm from North Central Iowa originally.
Buffalo Center.
You got it. Good. I don't know if I told you that. Good memory. I mean, I'm sure I told you that, but not recently.
Somewhere along the way.
Okay.
And it's on your Facebook page.
Okay.
Yep.
The mystery is revealed.
But it all makes sense, because it's like, how's this guy a big Minnesota Viking fan? And then
Right.
it's because you're like basically on the Minnesota
7 miles
border.
from the border.
Yeah,
You got it. Yep.
for sure.
Right.
So yeah, Buffalo Center, and then I Wikipedia'd Buffalo Center because I was just curious.
Right.
And-
There's no buffaloes in Buffalo Center.
Right.
That's a myth.
right.
Right.
When there's like 2 rivers, and then the town was like on Wikipedia anyway, it talks about the location of the town is between these rivers.
Okay.
Wikipedia, man.
I can't say I know about these rivers, but maybe
Rivers.
I mean not direct, not close, but
It's relatively in
I'm
the
gonna have to
center.
call my
of
dad
two-
on that one.
Maybe.
So you weren't like
Wikipedia.
playing in the rivers.
no,
growing up?
no. So I played in our ditches, which is gross because we always had runoff water. So we would swim in those pools, and as it turns out, like there's chemicals and like terrible things.
Oh yeah.
In those, so that's not a good idea. Don't ever do that.
Don't do that. But
Right.
But here you are today.
Yeah. No. I
Here you are
I
today.
made my way 2 hours south.
Yes.
To Jefferson, Iowa, J-Town. So
Yeah, there's the rivers.
that's not Buffalo. That's
That's
Buffalo,
not
New
it.
York.
Oh,
That's
wait a
Buffalo,
minute.
Iowa.
That Bluegrass that's out Davenport. That's out east.
Where am I looking?
Buffalo Center.
Center. Thank you.
There you
Sorry
go.
about that.
You are crushing it with the tech.
There you
Just
go.
gotta say.
I'm
This is
enjoying
us.
it.
Yes.
Yep. So, trying to. I don't know what rivers we're talking about here.
Yeah.
If you zoom back in, there were a couple like creeks.
Yeah.
Maybe that was it.
That was-
So there's
Maybe
one
that was
down
it.
below,
Okay.
Yeah.
and then go up a little ways.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's
Okay.
another one.
Okay. Yeah.
Those
yeah.
bad boys.
I don't know about this
So
one.
just your definition on river
Right.
is what we need to.
I
Where
blew
have
up
I
the-
been all my life?
Correct. Streams. There's a
Right,
couple of
streams.
streams.
Yes,
You
we
got
did,
bad
the
information.
one that is north of town, I rode my bike out with a couple of friends and we fished in. And my wife, I learned, was swimming in that river and she stepped on a broken glass bottle and she just missed her artery in her foot, but was bleeding all over the place. So she rode her bike home with the sock tied around her foot and a big gashing wound in her foot. So
That's crazy.
yeah,
Thank God she's okay.
right, yeah, no problem. She toughed it out.
Is she from Buffalo Center?
We were high school sweethearts.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I was a senior and she was a sophomore. So.
And you did the BV thing together?
So that's the reason I did BV, to be honest with you. I went to NIAC, and then she was like, after she graduated, she's like, I'm going to BV. So I said, I'm going to BV. And, it was good. It was a good experience. So,
And then eventually you both got jobs in this school district.
yep. So I started off with Prairie. We lived in Ogden and moved to Jefferson in 2015. So we moved to Jefferson in 2015 when she started work here because the drive from Jefferson is pretty much the exact same to Fort Dodge as it is from Ogden. That's kind of it. Google Maps it. It's crazy. So I went to Prairie Lakes for 4 years after that and started the job here in 2019. Yeah. So good town. Love this place.
Why?
Why do I love this place?
Yes.
It's a really cool community. A lot of really good people here. I mean, amenities. So like Peony, best Chinese food in the metro from KCCI a couple years ago. Like, are you kidding me?
Right.
And it's good food. It's merited, if you ask me. Lots of, big town amenities, small town feel, right? So we've got restaurants, we've got two grocery stores, we've got a hospital, we've got awesome parks, and I've heard even gonna potentially even get better. Potentially a swimming pool, and like really cool ideas. Like we've got this whole project with the apartments that are going to be potentially created through the middle school. Again, I already talked about the schools. Schools are awesome. And then we're close enough to like Ames, Carroll, Des Moines that if you want to go somewhere, bigger city for a day, it's not a 3-hour commute, right? You're not like, I've got to spend the night, get up to Minneapolis. No, you spend an afternoon there, you can come home. Right.
An hour away from the capital.
Boom. There you go. Yep. So yeah, it's a really good location. It's got all the stuff that we were hoping we would have in a hometown, and it's a friendly community. It's people. Like I have a hard time going into Hy-Vee and not seeing somebody that I have a conversation with, right? Which that's what I grew up with because I'm from a small town. So love that. Anyway,
What's it need? What's Jefferson need? What are we missing?
so my wife would say sidewalks in our neighborhood.
Okay. Yeah.
We're over in Hawthorne, and we don't have the sidewalks, so that's something that I need to work with the city councilman or woman on. Let's see, what else do we need? More houses. We need some diversity, and I think they're working on a diversity project just to get. I want all people here, right? I like small town, but I like all perspectives. What else do we need? I don't know. It's a good town. We need urgent care. I'd love to see urgent care. Carroll's fine. It's not far. But if I can avoid the emergency room and that $100 flat charge every time I'm going over there, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna put my hat in on that one as well.
Right. Yep. But no, they've done well. I really have very minimal complaints. I will praise this town more than I will complain about it.
Right
Every time.
Yeah.
Got good
That's good.
barbecue, Bet and Bev's.
Yep.
Talked to that guy, and actually he got me into barbecue, so I'm smoking meats
pretty
because of
good.
him, and big fan.
You want to do the barbecue rib cook-off at Bell Tower?
So
Are you ready for that?
I've never done ribs. That's the one thing I would. I've been too afraid to do that. I'm a big turkey breast, pork shoulder
There you go.
guy, and I'll do chicken legs and stuff like that. But cheese too, cold smoking cheese. That's where I'm a big cheese guy. That's where it's at.
You make that?
Up there in northern Iowa, I gotta get the cheese.
Yeah, man. Yeah. That's Jamaica. Yeah, man. Oh, sure. Yeah. We were just in
boy.
Jamaica. We went to Jamaica over spring break. Yeah, sure. That's what I meant.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure.
You've actually made the smoked cheese, or you're
So
saying,
I buy the cheese from Hy-Vee and then I cold smoke it.
oh wow,
Yep.
what's that process like?
You just put cheese on your grill rack and you add. I've got what's called a smoke tube, and you start your Traeger or whatever pellets you want to use. In my case, put it in there for about an hour, and then you open the lid and it's smoked cheese, and then you just eat it. It's awesome.
Wow.
Super simple.
So you just smoke it at like 180.
So there's really no fire.
Yeah.
So cold smoking, basically, you start the log, you put it on its side, and then the pellets will just burn.
So you're not even running like the
Nope.
grill auger. It's just that tube.
Exactly. Yep. So
Gotcha.
that's the thing. Like that's kind of a misconception with Traeger. I use my Traeger as a rack
Yeah.
and put a different tool in it to
Gotcha.
smoke my cheese.
My
But
dad's got one of those tubes.
Yep.
Those are sweet.
I'll do my pork shoulder and stuff in my Traeger. That's
Cool.
how I smoke those. Yeah, they are, and they're like $20 on Amazon. So
Worth it.
or anywhere brick and mortar too.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, I would strongly recommend that. My mom's like, "You make the best smoked cheese." I'm like, it's really simple, but yeah, I'll take that.
Keep giving me the praise.
Right.
Keep it coming.
You might go into the restaurant industry now.
Right.
Boy.
All right. Oh, I love it. Anyway, so
That's awesome. Because I feel like most people, okay, what do you do at night? Friday, Saturday, Thursday night, or whatnot? Like, what are you doing for entertainment?
good question. So we're social people. We like hanging out. So what does Jefferson need? I got it. Jefferson needs a card club.
A card club.
A card club. We grew up. My parents grew up. We were church people, and every month they had cards. They played cards with the church group, right? So 500 or whatever game they decided to play. That was the environment that I grew up in. I loved it. I never got to play because I was, young, but I always got to watch. And you don't never see that anywhere. Like nobody has a card club that I'm aware of. Maybe they have card clubs and I've never been invited, but I haven't found that group yet. And so I'd love to have like every month a traveling card club where you just go and you play cards and you socialize with people and just have fun, right? It's good, clean fun. So yeah, that's something that I would love. We like to play games. I'm a big games person, whether it's board games or, if I'm playing video games with my brother and a friend from college, we'll do that once a night, or cards or whatever. So we are very, we're gamey people, family-oriented people. So we see our in-laws and my parents a lot. And then we like to go out and have picnics in parks and stuff when the weather allows. So, and then get our hearts shattered on Sunday by the Minnesota Vikings.
Yep.
That's a big one too.
Yep.
It's an institution.
Right.
But this is the year.
Right. This is
This
it.
is-
This
it's
is
always
going to
the
be
year.
it. Right.
It's looking up.
We got this.
Yep. There's always hope.
Right.
Where there's hope, there's hope that can be destroyed. Honestly, is a bad way to put it. But
Hope deferred makes the heart sick.
That's,
you go.
That's good.
that's what I was looking for.
That's a quote.
Is that what you were looking for?
Looking for
That's
the axiom.
biblical.
There. Just the
But that's
the,
not
the
that's
thing.
kind of the negative side though, you
Right.
know. So
But it's true sometimes,
hope needs to come fulfilled.
for sure.
No more deferment. This is the year.
This is the year.
When I graduated college, I said I wanted 3 Viking Super Bowls before I died. I've dropped it to 2. I'm not joking. Like I'm good with 2.
Just
It's-
lowered the standard.
Right. It's like we're how
Like,
many
I
years
set that
outside of
bar a little
college?
high.
12 years outside of college now. It's like, yeah, maybe let's go with 2. So I hope I don't have to drop it to 1.
Hopefully, there's some like kid right now that's like 7, and he's the future quarterback of
I mean,
the
Tom Brady.
Minnesota Vikings that will just run the dynasty forever, or for a long time anyway. But don't know.
Let's figure that out.
Yeah, let's figure that out.
Bleed purple.
Right. You've got some boys. You've got sons.
I do. I've got a 10-year-old and a 9-year-old, and it's interesting. So kids are so different. My 10-year-old is all sports, so borderline autistic. Probably would have found his way onto the spectrum. So he's like a huge stats mind. If you ask him any NFL offensive player's number, he will tell you. I'm not joking.
Wow.
Yep, he can tell you the score of the Vikings-Packers game from 4 years ago. So he's like the sports almanac, but that's his thing, right? So he loves watching sports, stats, and then also he loves playing sports. So he's a big sports kid. I hope he never listens to this podcast. No disrespect, because his younger brother is not the sports kid, but he's the more athletic one. So he's the one that, he'll still play soccer and stuff like that. So Gabe's the older one. He's the one, I'm going to work hard. I'm going to, put everything I have into it. And then Aiden is like, I'm going to do minimal effort, but I'm going to be better than you, right? And so there's like total huge potential, but he's more artsy and creative, which is awesome. We totally support that. But, it's interesting how they're different, right? And different things drive them. And God gave Gabriel, he's still a good athlete, right? Not quite the athletic ability as Aiden, but someday maybe we'll balance out. Anyway, but it's interesting how different kids can be, right? Just from I'm really interested in this, and we raised them both relatively the same. Aiden found his way to, comic books and coloring and singing, all that stuff, and Gabe found his way to sports. So parents' perspectives, life gives us some interesting stuff, and it's cool how you learn from it.
When did you start to see that they were different? Because I have two daughters.
Right.
One's turning 4, and then one's a couple months old.
Probably when we started playing sports and when they started getting competitive. So let's see, that would have been when did we start soccer? Maybe like 1st and 2nd grade.
Okay, so it was a little
Yep,
bit.
a little bit. Yep, a little bit older.
Okay.
And it's if the Vikings are playing, Gabriel's right there next to me, and Aiden's downstairs in the basement with his mom or whatever, and they're doing their thing. So probably that age, but yeah, different kids.
Yeah,
It's good stuff.
it's that gift.
Right, and there's nothing wrong with either one of them. I love them
Right.
both equally. Obviously, it's just cool how they all have their own lives and they all have their own interests. Opportunities, put them in front of them.
Exactly.
That's your job as a
Support,
parent.
right, and then try not to.
Get in the way.
Right, yeah, that's the thing. But make sure that they know what's right and wrong,
Right.
and then they know that again when they make the same mistake, and try not to lose too much hair when they continuously repeat behaviors that
Or enjoy looking gray.
Right, yeah, got the peppering, got the
Right.
losing the hair on the top too. So
You're like, I wanted it. That's why. It's the hairstyle.
right.
Salt and pepper. Though.
There you go.
It looks
There you
good.
go.
Yeah.
Thanks.
on.
Again, face for radio for this guy.
That's hilarious. Is there enough stuff for your kids to do around here?
Oh yeah. So that's the thing that I'd never played soccer growing up. Absolutely love the sport. Like I wish I could have played soccer. I think I maybe would have been good at it. Maybe I don't know. It's a lot of running, but they love that. I mean, they can swim if they want to swim. That's another cool thing that I discovered. Carol's got that, and it's a short little drive over there. And it's cool because we're small enough that they can do that stuff, and they can do all of that stuff, right? You get to the bigger cities, and it's more like we're going to dedicate everything to baseball or football or basketball, and that's your sport, right? I've got a nephew in La Crosse, Wisconsin, that he's soccer, and that's what he does.
Sure.
And this way they can be, every one of those sports, and they could potentially start, or come off the bench in every one of those sports, right? So they're contributing to the team. They feel purposeful. They're making that connection, and they understand what the sport is. So it turns out I didn't like that, or I love that, right? So we're not, again, pigeonholed to specifics because the opportunities are available.
Yeah.
Opportunities.
I tell you what, small town.
Small town. There's a lot of them. Yeah, you get exposed to a lot, even more than a big city. You think, oh, there's more in a big city, but then it's harder or more costly to engage fully in those things.
Larger
versus-
groups, yep.
Yes. In a small town, you get some freedom there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Big town feel, small town
Yeah.
actuality.
It's awesome.
I just heard the other night that at the bottom of the "Welcome to Iowa" signs that you will cross, like on the interstates, it says "Fields of Opportunities."
Oh,
an Iowa
fields of
thing.
fun. I get it.
Fields of opportunities.
I love it. That's good.
I was good for a lot of things.
It's a good place.
Right. Yeah. That's what I think. There's this perception. Everybody I meet, not everybody, but you meet people out of state. Again, we went to Jamaica over spring break, which is amazing. But it's like, where are you from? I'm from Iowa. Where's that? Number one. Or like, really? And it's like, yeah, Iowa. what
Other-
about it? And anyway, so then you got to explain why you live in Iowa. To
And then
this
everyone
person.
said, "Oh, Ohio."
I've got
Idaho.
I got Idaho from a guy. No kidding.
Iowa?
Idaho.
Oh, that's a mixture.
Yeah, right,
I haven't heard that
exactly.
one yet.
He combined them, and he's like, "You guys grow potatoes there?" I was like, "No,
Yeah.
Iowa."
Where's this guy from?
It was actually so. This was in Florida. This was years ago. We were at it was a what was it? Trivia contest, and so I was actually up there with him, and so we said that, and this guy, we were just kind of small talk. He's like, "Oh yeah, Idaho. That's where they grow potatoes, right?" It's like, no, it's Iowa. And
Is it
we have,
American?
we have corn. Yeah, this is an American.
This is American?
I'm not even joking.
Oh,
this is a 100% true story.
He needs to go to geography.
Right, yeah.
he needs some belonging.
That school district
Yeah.
failed him.
Right. Yeah, we didn't do well in our states. But true story. That was the one like, whoa, this is off the map. Interesting.
Wow.
So did you notice that people in Jamaica did know quite a bit about America?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jamaica is I love that country, right?
So you've been there a few times.
No, just the one time.
okay,
We went there
okay.
for a week. We did a sandals resort. So there's a whole nother podcast on like relationship maintenance with kids. This was our 10-year anniversary, year 14. Okay. Thank you, COVID, and having babies.
Right.
And so, but this was how Abby and I kind of like, we need to relight the flame. Not that we didn't, but we need to take time for us away from the kids because it's tough to maintain that. Like date nights are super important. I will preach that until I die. And so this was we've got to get out of here and, focus on us. Anyway, so the in-laws watch the kids. And it's funny, and we're getting off track here, but my wife was like right away, she's like emotional. Like, I can't leave the kids. This is a week. We're going to be, what's going to happen? And then when we were leaving, she's like, I don't want to go home. I rediscovered who I was, I remember I can have fun outside of my kids, and, not that she didn't want to go home. It's just, she realized that, oh yeah, I'm Abby. I'm not just a mom, I'm my own person too. And so that was that aha moment for her, like after 14 years, oh yeah, we can have fun outside of our kids too, right? So we try to now do better with that. But so, I'm sorry, I got off track on your original question.
Jamaica.
Oh yeah, so awesome country, super super friendly people, like, and not just on the resort, off the resort too. Everybody's saying hi. Everybody's, looking out for you in a sense. They're just friendly people, right? But tons of poverty, which was so disheartening, right? So that's that. They give you this perception of paradise, and then you see this poverty in this country, and it's like, man, how do we fix that? There were people with these big black rain barrels on top of their houses because their water wouldn't work, and so they were drinking from these rain barrels that they collected over how many weeks or whatever when that happened. That was a regular occurrence. So it's kind of just like eye-opening. You hear about the poverty, but I get so disconnected, and I keep telling this to people, like, even in Jefferson, Iowa, there are some really serious poverty cases that, like, I've never been exposed to, right? And then you hear about it and you see it and it's like, how can we help these people? This is a thing, and it breaks my heart. We got to, let's do something about this. But it doesn't register with me because I've never actually seen it until you do. And then it's like, oh my gosh, I just feel terrible. So what do we do to fix these things?
Did you notice that the people that were in poverty, did they look, impoverished? Did they look sad?
So like just from there were kids that were, they looked sickly, they hadn't eaten,
Right.
which, it's like, what, let me give you money.
Right.
Let's get you a meal. And then you hope when you do that, that money goes to
right.
the kids and not to, some other whatever.
Did you have any conversations about what's driving that, perhaps, when you were there with anybody, or was there anybody that could lend a...
There was one guy who said the president, I don't know what how the politics work there, but he lives in this multi-million-dollar mansion, and they're siphoning all this money, and the money's going to the wealthy, and they're not taking care of the country. And but this was the bus driver's perspective. So whether or not that's accurate, but I would imagine he's got some insight on that. Right. So yeah, I don't know if they're just not doing a good job of taking care of their people, or if it's it's something altogether different, but heartbreaking, regardless. So
Josh has some Haitian blood.
I do.
Nice.
Yep. So yeah, my mom is from Haiti. She left Haiti at 14, right? Moved to Boston, and then she came out to California, 33-ish time frame, and then met my dad, got married,
Awesome.
had my brother,
Love it.
had me, and then I'm here. Many years later. But yeah, no, I'm very familiar with that disparity, that gap is
Right.
huge, just even from area to area.
Haiti is almost even more
Oh, it's like the whole country.
poverty-stricken
Yeah.
than Jamaica is, and both are bad. So
Yeah.
it's like hard to imagine seeing
Well-
something worse. Like, how do you get worse than?
Yeah.
Well, Jamaica, you at least have those resorts.
right.
In Haiti, as far as my knowledge, it's kind of just the whole place. So yeah, it's for some folks that are living out there, there's something called sand cookies. Have you heard of sand cookies?
Mm-mm.
So sand cookie is if you are unable to eat anything, but you want to avoid the pain of hunger, you pay 2 pennies. That was at the time, and you eat this thing made of clay and sand, so it goes right through you. Yeah, just so you can go to bed and not feel the hunger feeling,
Wow.
but you didn't actually eat anything. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Horrible.
That's
yeah.
terrible. Yeah.
Yeah.
For that, you give you a thought.
But
Right.
but I think again, going back to the opportunity to leave it on a positive note is it is a choice. This is just my personal belief. I think it is a choice if you can put yourself into that mindset that what, life is a beautiful place no matter where I'm starting. And I know for a fact that's how my mom got through it. That's how my grandpa got through it.
Yeah.
And they made a great life for themselves. My mom made a great life for herself. She made a great life for me. Thank God that she did the sacrifices that she made. 4 years, got her master's degree from Boston University in education, double major in psychology, a
Wow.
major in French. Studied at the Sorbonne for a whole year. I mean, it's just like, so even though there is that, I think it can also act as a driving force. And I never let that story or what was going on, what's still going on, prevent me. I have some charities that I donate to
Awesome.
that are in Haiti, which I stay on top of that. But the main thing about it is just remembering that no matter where you are, you always have that opportunity. That opportunity is never leaving you whatsoever.
Mhm.
And just being reminded of it, I think, is the biggest challenge.
And sometimes that opportunity might be going to look for new opportunities.
Yeah.
I mean, I think about like when Bob Hamilton was on here, and that's something he talked about, his successful career. He said, I just looked for opportunity and then went to wherever that was. And sometimes that's hard to do. I mean, in some cases, it might mean moving your family to a new part of the world. And I mean, I don't know the full scope of the politics and the economics of Jamaica or Haiti. I mean, I don't know why they're impoverished. I listened to this thing. It was a YouTube, dissertation on Central and Southern American poverty in those countries, and they talked about like the conquistadors when they came over. They set up social systems where there was the ruling group, and they put everybody into work camps, like enslaved the entire populace and put them to work in their mines and their forests and wherever there was produce. And I mean, I don't know the economics of Jamaica and Haiti, but I'm sure that they have in tropical Caribbean climates. I'm sure they have exports. I'm sure there's an economy that would lend itself to opportunity if that opportunity was not suppressed by an oppressive authority structure. So I suppose where that's present, maybe the answer is get out, because if there's nobody to boss around, if there's no one to command, then then you got to do the work.
Right.
But
I can't agree more.
yeah, so that's awesome. Like your mom's story, that's inspiring.
That's amazing.
Yeah. No, I was. It inspires me. One of the things I think that's really big with regards to that story, just really quick, is trade and technology. So, when technology is used for good, you can see infrastructure built, and and then I think if you see technology used for destructive purposes or enslavement or control purposes, I think that's where you get a lot of that. And I'm not saying that there isn't a responsibility with the population, but I have, just if you look at the history of, of how Haiti was developed and who owned it and how they ran their thing, which is too much to talk about now, they used a lot of those strategies to kind of subdue, and that's we're still seeing the lingering effects of that even today. So
Perhaps one of the benefits of technology is it is like a great equalizer in that it provides opportunity
Sure.
Yep.
across
For sure.
levels. I mean, you can get a pretty good education just getting online today from anywhere that has internet.
Lots of remote learning. COVID taught us that. Or
Right.
COVID reinforced that. It didn't teach us that.
Right.
Yep. That one forced us to do that.
Confirmed it.
Correct.
Right.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep, that's a better word for it.
But, perhaps that opportunity will increase as well as we go forward.
Right. Yep. Getting it out.
That is wild. Brent, you were a perfect guest.
This is an awesome podcast.
It was fun.
We
Yeah,
covered
this was fun.
a ton of topics. We covered a ton of ground. And yeah, you were more of a wealth of knowledge than I even thought you were going to be. So
I appreciate that.
Exceeded expectations.
yeah. I
Take
could-
it for whatever it's worth.
Yeah.
It's all relative, and I don't know. Anyway, thank you. I appreciate
And
being
humble.
here. This was
And
awesome.
humble.
And humble.
So
Yes,
humble.
absolutely. I'm proud of episode 29 right here. That's what this was.
Glad to be
So,
part of it.
Yes, absolutely. And this is probably a Rogan-esque one where he goes like 2, 3, 4 hours sometimes. I feel like we could have done that. What do we do? Hour and 20 minutes? But
Something like that.
something like that. Long form, maybe we just go for it. Maybe we have another channel that's just long form podcasting and we just hash it out for 3 hours or just get all comfy, have another pot of coffee right here, right?
Nice. It's good coffee.
Gotta make room for bathroom breaks.
Bathroom break, just shift the camera over there and
Yep,
we'll all
yep.
take turns and then we'll
Right.
figure it out. But
There we go.
you have to be back.
Yeah.
I was honored. This was awesome.
Great.
Great
Love
to
it.
get to know
Yeah.
you a little bit.
Likewise. Thanks a lot for the opportunity, guys. Glad to be here.
Unfiltered Podcast. That was Josh. That was Brent. He's Isaac.
Philip.
Till next time. See ya.
See ya.